Building a big pedalboard takes a lot of dedication. It's an investment in time, money, and as far as my experience has gone down, it can be depressing. In this video, I'm going to share how being exposed to the amp modeling multi-FX world of the Line 6 Helix has helped me to build better pedalboard tones. Hopefully, you'll avoid the mistakes that I've made. Coming up. Hello, welcome to the video. If this is our first time meeting, my name is Justin and I'm all about worship guitar. Please subscribe and hit that bell notification button to be kept updated on my latest content and treat me to a coffee to support these videos and my ministry. Stick around for the bonus section where I share my recording setup process to capture direct tones from this mothership and a link to a Helix patch which will function as an EQ, a stereo image enhancer, and a mastering stage. If we've met before, welcome back. 4 years ago, I made a significant investment into my tone by commissioning a Goodwood Audio build. It was to replace my Pedaltrain Pro, which required 2 men to carry without a cart. Shan-en, I will always remember how you soldiered on with me to carry that monster to the car. That Pedaltrain Pro rig was a mess. There were all sorts of different cables being used, most of which were cheap and noisy. Many pedals were sharing the same power line, which led to some grounding issues. It was just a complete mess. With the mothership, these signal and power issues were fixed. The rig sounds clean, there's no extra noise, and whenever I bring it out to a big show, I know it will work. Church had 2 big amps, which I was quite happy plugging into for stereo goodness. But there was a problem that I didn't consider when putting mothership together. I didn't have any good ampless or direct recording solutions. And since 2021 is still proving to be a year of no live gigs and serving in church, going ampless to record is crucial. At this point, I look back at my gear choices made in 2017 and seriously regret not thinking about how I was going to record my guitar tones. I tell my students that their tone is only going to be as good as the cheapest component in their chain. I wish I listened to my own advice. Back then, this was how I was recording. Step 1, mono sum the mothership. I know, my ears were so bad that I said to myself, there's no difference between stereo and mono. If my Strymon pedals could talk, they'd probably be doing the "am I a joke to you" meme. Step 2, send that mono sum signal to this tiny iRig Pro interface, and step 3, running a Fender amp sim on amplitude 4. In all fairness, the iRig Pro is a decent basic audio interface with very limited application, and amplitude 4 as a whole for direct recording on a DAW can sound good. I might do a future video on making a laptop worship rig. Comment below if you're keen on that idea, okay? My point is this. In 2017, I had limited exposure to crafting good ampless tone. My idea of good recording tone was a mono-summed pedalboard into a cheap audio interface running a basically free amp sim. Helix changed all that. Unlike building a real-world pedalboard where I'd have to rip off cables and rerun a power line, Helix allowed me to drag and drop effect blocks wherever I wanted in the signal chain. Over time, I began to learn how putting things in certain places affects the overall tone, like having reverb and delay in front of an amp compresses and crunches the tails, or an EQ pedal after the drive section can change the distortion character. Let me use an analogy from my previous life as an engineer. You'd rarely build something without first having an idea of how a system will react in the real world. Part of my job as an engineer was to run simulations of an intended system design through our software, which was pretty amazing. You could swap things in and out, change the specification under certain conditions, and it will give an accurate picture of how the system will perform in real life. Helix is the AutoCAD of tone crafting. The more time I spent tweaking tones, the more I gained perspective as to what worked and what didn't work. It then gave me ideas on how to improve my analog pedalboard tones. Here are 3 lessons I've learned from Helix that I'm applying to my pedalboard adventures. Lesson 1. Your gain staging matters. Let me run through some words with you and let's see if you have an association with them. Lifeless, sterile, bland, lacking dynamics. Okay, that last one was 2 words, but if you were nodding your head in agreement, let me share with you a big tone lesson I've learned the past 2 years. Turn your compressor down. Gain staging doesn't just refer to whether you're using distortion, overdrive, or fuzz. It refers to the combination of gain effects anywhere in your signal chain. The one that has an immediate effect on your tone? Compression. Heavy compression makes everything sound the same. It kills all playing dynamics, whether you're playing with a pick or using your fingers or using a single coil or humbuckers. The guitar needs to breathe. There should be a difference in volume between clean, crunch, and lead tones. There should be a difference between your Strat, Tele, and Les Paul. One more thing about gain staging. Overdrive and distortion pedals compress the signal naturally by virtue of their design. Having heavy compression before overdrive and distortion is great for infinite sustain on legato lines, but the guitar is not going to sound as expressive or alive. Seriously, turn the compressor down. Lesson 2. Your amp sounds matter. Now this video isn't going to be about which model is the best, but since 2020 happened, I have brought Mothership and all other gear out for a grand total of 0 times. My work is now 100% online, mostly recording and the occasional live stream. On the online medium, everything is crystal clear. Essentially, there are 3 types of amp sounds you want to have in your arsenal, and they are encapsulated in the Strymon Iridium: Fender, Vox, and Marshall. Each of these amp sounds are unique in flavor and have been used in every worship recording. Now it's beyond the scope of this video to demo each amp sound, but suffice it to say, Fender and Vox style amps are the starting point for worship music. In my case, I have 2 amp models on my board: the Strymon Iridium for Fender and Vox tones, and the SansAmp GT2 for Marshall and Mesa Boogie tones. I may be mostly playing for church-related music, but I still get to put on some distortion for the occasional metal gig. Lesson 3. Your stereo image matters. I used to think it's overrated. I used to be the one guy who couldn't tell the difference between mono and stereo. But now that I'm mixing tracks on a near weekly basis, stereo makes a big difference to your tone. There's a three-dimensional feel to the sound that envelops you. Delay and reverb sounds deeper, larger than life, and gloriously atmospheric. Do you need to go stereo all the time? Not necessarily, but I quote a line from the great cinematic classic Alien vs. Predator.
I'd rather have one and not need it than need it and not have one.
If you've stuck around this long, here's today's bonus section. What you're hearing is 90% from the pedalboard and 10% from the Line 6 HX Stomp running a patch that I'm calling Interface. The patch does more than just interfacing the pedalboard with my computer so I can record it. As it utilizes the FX loop to patch in the pedalboard, I can freely place effects pre- and post-pedalboard depending on the DSP available. In this iteration of interface, I have 3 effects placed pre-pedalboard, a very mild compressor to ensure both my single coil and humbucker guitars aren't wildly different in signal loading, a polycable to help me achieve various tuning options with my standard tuned guitars, and a block that I'm calling the wildcard slot, because I can put in an additional filter or modulation effect pre-drive. Post-pedalboard, I have a dual delay that is functioning as a stereo enhancer. I have a reverb, a stereo parametric EQ, and an LA Studio comp that functions as a mastering stage. The reverb gets turned off if it's not needed, and the duet of the EQ and comp are inspired by the smooth, even tones that Jason Seditz achieves. If you'd like a copy of this exact patch, I have a download link available in the description box that will take you to my Buy Me a Coffee page. Question of the day: what does your dream pedalboard look like? Link your rig rundowns in the comment section, type in your signal chain. I'd love to hear what you guys have in mind. That's it from me. Thank you for watching this video. Please feel free to share it with someone whom you know is interested in building a better analog pedalboard in 2021. Until next time, this is Justin signing off.